Yellow primates, how you doing this day? Boy, have I got a special podcast for you guys today. Legitimately captured unicorn type episode for me at least, and I know for a lot of you guys listening. We're on with Albuquerque, New Mexico, and worldwide radio DJ legends, the amazing Mr. Aaron Buck Burnett and Dex Toth from the Buck and Dex show. That aired for something like 15 years on 104.1, 104.7 The Edge, which was once a great rock station. Of course, only when these fellows were at the helm. We talk all things Buck and Dex nostalgia, what these guys are crushing on lately, and what the future holds. Buck is now rolling on nights at the Coyote 102.5, as well as running hard with his new co-owned venture with the El Rey, a badass venue in downtown Albuquerque. And Dex is doing work both on Star 88, a morning show, on the radio and YouTube, and he's also got an amazing YouTube show called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff with his fellow Star 88 co-host Steve-O. So go to YouTube, look up Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. I want you guys to subscribe, and you guys are going to laugh your asses off. Got a lot of Buck and Dex show alumni on there as well, or has had and is going to have, I'm sure. We talk Delbert. We talk breaking out bands like Flyleaf and Five Finger Death Punch, Jackson's MMA, Training Gym alumni. We dish all things Buck and Dex show, like across the board. These guys were so cool and humble. Mad respect to you guys. Thank you so much for letting an old fan chat with you guys. All the links are in the episode description. But Buck has his grand opening of the El Rey's Speakeasy. Make sure you guys go to this amazing venue, drink some mezcal under the stars. It's literally a roofless or topless bar. And then as well as the Speakeasy, which is opening, I believe February 23rd is what he says in the podcast. Of course, just check out their website. Check them out on Instagram for that stuff. And of course, don't miss the amazing artists that they book at this venue. That's what the El Rey was to me as growing up, and it's still doing that. They're still putting out some amazing shows. Follow and keep up with everything A Perch of Birds and your host, me, El Capitan, is doing on YouTube. Just look up A Perch of Birds podcast at facebook.com/APOB Media. Instagram, we're at A Perch of Birds Media. That's at A Perch of Birds Media. And if you like what I'm doing, if you want to see the show grow with your help, check out Patreon, patreon.com/APOB Media. Again, Buck, Dex, humbled beyond words, guys. Thank you again. I was fangirling hard doing this one. You folks listening, thank you for being a bunch of badasses, and make sure that you, as always, and continually, and until the day you take your last breath, are pursuing greatness. I know you are. All right, guys, enjoy. So already rolling?
It's rolling whenever you're ready.
Oh.
Hold on.
Sip. And.
All right, I'm ready. See, I told you I was the funny one.
Don't listen to him.
So, we're recording, right?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry. I'm used to pressing all the buttons. It's so weird.
No worries.
So welcome to A Perch of Birds podcast. I got Aaron Buck Barnett on the... Burnett. See? I already messed up. Can we read? No, I'm just
You
kidding.
can just call us Buck and Dex. That's fine.
Okay. All right. I don't know. And then we got Mr. Dex Toth.
Hey, man.
So if you guys hear the voices, that's who they are. Veteran radio DJs, husbands, fathers, and now pursuing greatness in various different aspects of their lives, but also still kind of getting on the public radio stuff, right?
Yeah,
You're still doing Star 88. You dabble,
a little,
right?
Yeah.
That's really what you could call what he does is dabbling.
Okay, yeah.
But
yeah, what do you do again? You do nights on another radio station.
I do nights on Coyote 102.5.
Right. And then do I have this right that somehow or another you guys are back together on Coyote, or that was like a one-off?
That was a one-off. I keep inviting him to come down, but he never does. He's too busy doing something else.
Well,
anytime I try to invite him down to do something, he either never responds to me. I mean, you're lucky I'm here today because I almost didn't show up because he doesn't respond to anything ever when I text him or call him or anything like that.
He's really upset with me. He's super sensitive. He really
I wanted to invite him to my wife's birthday party at the Speakeasy.
Okay.
And he didn't even return the text messages.
Oh, man.
And now he's the one who always says, if you want to contact me, text me. So what did I do? I sent him I sent him like 3 text messages.
Hold on.
Nothing. It was silent.
Hold on. I'm going to put the microphone low.
Pull it up
I feel
too.
like his is really loud.
No, I just project my voice. I know how to do this. What are you doing?
Turning you down.
No, you don't.
So we're at Calvary on what am I on here? Osuna, right?
Yeah, 4001 Osuna.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm going to pull up these these text messages real quick.
So just in the interim, while they're checking text messages, this is where we're recording this podcast, and I greatly appreciate you guys letting me use your fancy microphones. Like I was telling them, the stuff I have comes in a box. It's worth about a quarter of what we're talking on. So we're in here doing the real talk. And
all right, this is my text message from Buck. Okay, Friday night, 6:13 p.m. I need an Uber. You want to drive us and come down to Sarah's birthday thing?
Okay, so
it's at our speakeasy downtown.
So here was the deal. Okay. That was a joke, and if you would have responded in any way, you would have known I just wanted you to come to Sarah's birthday party.
Everybody knows you need a either an emoji, a laughing emoji, or an LOL if you're gonna make a joke.
Okay, I'm not 12.
Future reference, I think you should get read text. What do they call them? The read reply things.
Yes.
You know, when he reads it. Because did you just now read it, Dex? Don't lie.
No, he read it right away. Ooh. He saw it right away.
Oh, I saw it. And I was not working as an Uber driver that night. Okay?
I didn't need you as an Uber driver. I wanted to invite you to my wife's birthday party.
Give me the emoji. Give me the laughing emoji. I would have known you were joking. I would have responded.
I'm sorry. We're wrecking his podcast. Come on.
No, you're good. We speak in hieroglyphs now, I think, so I could totally understand. You know, sometimes you need to get like...
Exactly.
You know, like
all the
remainders.
Yeah, okay, 13-year-old boy.
You know what? No, I communicate. That's what I do, like everybody else does.
No, that's absolutely true. You guys do communicate very well, and you guys did how many years together on the Buck and Dex show?
Too many.
It felt like 1,000.
Like 1,000? Yeah. Well, I remember like literally all of my middle school, high school years, you know, and I greatly looked up to you guys, and very many of my friends that I told them, I was like, hey, I'm going to be on Buck and Dex, and they're like, damn, that was like who we listened to every morning.
Gosh, we're so old, man. You feel old
come on.
I don't. I don't. It was we were together from 2003 to 2015.
Wow. You know, I don't know how you guys don't have like a VIP plaque or something, you know, over there.
I got to tell you, man, I went and saw a friend's band at the Range Cafe down in Bernalillo, and they have all these people that have signed the plates on the wall. Bill Clinton, you know, Pamela Anderson, anybody who's been through. TJ Trout.
TJ,
right? It's like, where's the Buck and Dex plate, man?
Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah. Well, you guys had a huge impact. I mean, I would say that I'm 30. My entire generation, like, you know, 104.1 at the time, right, was like the thing. Edgefest. I mean, it almost seems like people don't understand that there was a different Edgefest than there is now. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And it was a totally different animal.
Yeah.
And, you know, like one of the things that a lot of people would bring up all the time is how come the music changed at one point? So I guess that would be like one of my first questions is when you guys were rolling as Buck and Dex, you know, Clear Channel, were they the ones that were in control of what you guys were allowed to play and what you guys were allowed to do on the radio? Because it did get pretty fun, you know, in many places, the Delberts, the Edge Girls, the stunts and all that stuff. But how much of that was you guys producing, or how much of that was like sanctioned by what was the boss's name? Bill or Bob?
Bill May.
Bill May. Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of the stuff we did on the show was us. It was our creativity.
Sure.
Mostly mine.
Yeah, we know that's not true. But our bosses have always been really good and have allowed us to be creative, you know, and honestly, I'm surprised we didn't kill
until they fired us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about it. We made it almost for like 15 years almost, you know? So
you guys were international, right? Like you guys were listened to all over the world.
Well, hold on. Let's back it up for a second. Okay.
We had people in Australia listening to us.
We did. Okay.
And in Ireland.
We did, but when we said we were the world famous, that was really just to kind of make us bigger than we really were.
Right.
Because you know how it is. It's
you know what, man? We had that on our vision board in the studio. Like when you walked in, we saw a picture of the globe, and that was it. And it's like we're going to conquer that.
No, but I'm gonna second that because I just came up as number 96 on the Czechoslovakia music category for podcasts.
Wow. Nice.
So I could, you know, thank you. Yeah,
world famous. Changing.
World famous. You know, why not? You know, it's the world famous Perch of Birds podcast, you know, so.
Yeah, but again, going back to Clear Channel, they've always been really good about allowing us to do what we wanted to do. And I mean, there was a handful of times we got called into the boss's office and we got reamed out and got in trouble for a few things, you know, or we had to stop doing a bit. Joe and the Deaf Guy, you know, we got called in at one point.
Yeah, that never really made any sense to me. So great. Somebody called and complained about Joe and the Deaf Guy. And they said a deaf listener called in and complained about Joe and the Deaf Guy. So we literally got called into the general manager's office. And my first question to him, obviously, is going to be, well, how the F did he hear it if he's deaf?
Right.
You know, it just didn't make any sense to me.
This is all true. Now, just to ask the question, and I feel like now that you guys have, you know, you're not doing that anymore, was he actually deaf? I mean, the bit itself, was the guy that was doing that part, was he actually deaf?
This is uncomfortable.
See?
Man, this is awkward.
See?
Buck, do you want to tell him?
Because it was one of you guys, wasn't it? Was it?
So let me tell you how it started.
All right.
All right.
Is there alcohol involved? You can be honest. It's a safe place.
There wasn't. I wish. Joe and the Deaf Guy actually got started because Joe Dex, used to do this really annoying voice of this guy.
Okay.
And one time we were interviewing Jon Jones. It was the first time he ever came in the studio.
Nice.
And he came in for right before his fight with Matt Hamill, the UFC fighter.
Sure.
The first deaf UFC fighter.
Okay.
So Dex was in the studio with somebody from the gym, from Jackson's MMA, and Jon Jones. And I stepped out of the office, out of the studio, and I called in as Matt Hamill.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay, this is all coming back
And I
now.
started talking mad shit to him while I was doing.
Go ahead, do the voice.
So okay, be Jon Jones.
Hey, is this Matt Hamill?
This is Matt Hamill.
Matt Hamill, I'm going to kick your ass coming up.
I'm gonna put the smackdown on you like you've never seen before.
Oh yeah, you're gonna put the what down on me?
The Smackdown.
The what?
The Smackdown.
The Mac down?
No, the Smack.
I don't know what you're saying. The what?
Are you making fun of me because I'm deaf?
But it goes back to it. How?
So really,
But if you didn't catch the joke, right, you would be deaf, air quotes, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like
Yes.
how that should all know that, everybody should know that's listening that that's not legitimately.
sure, absolutely, yeah. It's it was all kind of tongue in cheek, and but Jon Jones apparently, like, he never treated us the same after that. Like, he would not come in the studio anymore after we
Really?
did that. Yeah.
He felt,
man.
he felt super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I think, what was the next bit we did with John? Was that the peeing outside of the...
Yeah,
Remember when I caught him peeing next to his belly?
Yeah, so Stalker
lasted
here
forever.
is he's sitting outside Jackson's taking photographs or something of the fighters as they're coming and going.
No, I was waiting
And-
for my son to get done because my kids
Oh, that's
trained
right. Yeah,
down
yeah,
there
yeah.
at Jackson's. So
Yeah.
I was hanging out in my car waiting for my son to get done, and out
Yeah.
walks Jon Jones, and he just drops his pants and starts peeing next to his Bentley.
So
Wow.
so
That's a man.
was it like Jon Jones size?
it was pretty big.
Was it?
It was pretty big. He was
get a
holding
little-
it with two hands.
You're a little afraid?
Like a fire hose. Good for you, Jon
I'm
Jones.
like, what is he holding? What's
he pulling out of his
my
sock?
gosh.
Oh my God.
But no, we got him on the phone. I think it was the next day because we had Ricky from Jackson's in. So we got John back on the phone, and then I tried to. I was trying to get him to allow me to.
acknowledge that he urinated in Ricky's
Exactly,
parking
yeah.
space.
But
Yeah.
he wasn't about it.
No,
No.
as soon as he found out it was on the radio again, you could tell he was.
But I'm sure because Ricky was a big part of your guys' show at one
I
point.
kind of feel like he should be here with us right now. I mean, he was really the
third. He was our fill-in if one of us was out sick or.
He did that so well.
Yeah,
you
he was
know,
good.
and I hear that Jackson's has a podcast now.
Yeah.
Right. And so does he do that or
No,
Okay.
he's not associated with the Pro Gym anymore. So what Ricky does for Jackson's MMA is you have the Jackson's MMA Pro Gym,
Okay.
and then you have the Jackson's MMA Association.
where the amateurs go.
No. That's
Okay.
where you have like it's almost like the franchise for Jackson. So you have like 51 of those around the world right now,
I didn't
and
know
he's the
that.
president of that
So
association.
amateur gyms
Okay.
around the world.
So he's still
yeah.
part of it, just in
Yeah.
a different aspect, a different respect. I
Correct.
guess. Okay. Well, and the reason why I ask is because so many people had, I think that those things were important to the fans. You know what I mean? And it came down to the fans because there was the Edge Army,
Yes.
Yeah.
which was you guys. It wasn't
Yeah.
the Edge Army. It was Buck and Dex Army. You know what I mean?
Well, I think we, for us, it's always been a family. We've always looked at our listeners as if they were our friends and our family, because that's what I think separates a successful morning show is that if you're not reaching out and actually making that contact or inspiring or just
doing a podcast
being
with an old
relatable.
fan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you're not doing that, then you're not doing your job.
Yeah.
How do people relate to you? How do
Right.
they connect with you? And so I think we both have been we tried to do the best job we could as far as connecting with our audience the best we could.
I think we did a good job with that, and also just going a step back to your previous question. Dex was just talking about the show stuff. As far as the music stuff, I was the music director of the station for many, many, many years.
Okay.
And we had a period in the station's life where everything was good. We were working with the record labels. We did Edge Fest. I helped book that. And we would do the promotions like when we would break bands. Like we broke Flyleaf and we broke Five Finger Death Punch. We broke a bunch of bands nationally.
What do you mean broke?
So we were the first people to truly start playing these guys and get them radio play.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So we broke a bunch of bands, and we had a lot of credibility with the record labels, the music industry, as far as being a place to come and having support. And once we had the first downsizing, that was in 2008, 2009, something like that. We had a meeting with the CEO of Clear Channel at the time. I can't remember what his name is, but he came in and we had to have a Saturday meeting. And he started talking to us about this thing called talent sharing.
Okay.
And he says, we've got this new thing we're going to do. It's going to be amazing. You guys could have like the best talent from Dallas on as your midday person or whatever. And we've got this talent sharing thing. And after that meeting, I remember talking to Dex saying, you know what? Our days are numbered. This is really a bad thing.
In 2008?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what they ended up doing was they launched an initiative called Premium Choice.
Okay.
Which was, it's kind of redundant because it was neither premium nor choice.
Okay.
There was nothing good about it. It wasn't premium. And basically what happened was they stuck us with talent outside of every day part besides ours. We had the morning show, so every other day part they assigned talent to. And we had no say in it. We had no choice. They took away our ability to program our own music because we were programming the music locally.
Yeah.
And
so let me ask you this: was this like the Mudvayne days?
Yes.
The like heavier metal stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Because there was a marked change from a person that listened to it every day. I mean, there was a marked change in the music, and I was curious about that. And you guys, I mean, and in one respect, you guys would talk about it, but I realized that you're still at work and you still have people to report to, so you weren't like, my boss is an idiot, but it really wasn't his call even, right? This would have been a corporate decision.
Yeah, it was. Okay. It was a nationwide decision, and I remember the day after they launched that because we knew it was coming. We knew Premium Choice was coming, and I remember the day that it happened, and I turned on the radio and I heard the Killers, and it was like, and it wasn't even their one halfway cool song. Somebody told me it was like Mr. Brightside or something like that, and I was like, dude, they totally defanged us.
Right,
they did, and that was kind of the end of it. I mean, we would still try to do stuff on our own as far as like staying true to what the station was.
Right. During your time, your slot.
During our time. And I mean, even after that too, like I was still the music director.
Okay.
And, but we had a new program director. Bill May had been let go. He got downsized.
I didn't know that.
And so we got a new program director who, honestly, I think he was probably very happy with it because we were always kind of nipping at this other station's heels, in the building because they were more of like the really heritage rock station in the market.
Yeah.
And we played a lot of stuff that they liked,
Yeah.
And I think once that happened, he probably was very happy about that at that point because I mean the station totally changed.
Yeah.
I mean overnight it totally changed, and it was really odd too because we were having such good success. At the time, and if Bill May would have been there, honestly, I mean we used to have Bill May incorporated into our bits where I mean people would show up at the station and want to kick Bill May's ass.
Oh, there was one point where he would drive this really nice Audi. He had this really nice car, and he had to start parking in the underground parking lot because he was worried that listeners.
People were threatening him.
Yeah,
but he was in on it. I mean, and he was a good sport
and he
about
was great.
it.
I wouldn't think he'd get on the radio unless he was part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
to do those things.
Yeah, no, he was totally good with it, and I mean, once he went away, and really, he was the guy who was fighting for us at the station,
It seemed like it.
And then once he went away, then it all kind of turned to shit after that.
Pretty much.
So I don't know anything about radio, like shit about radio. So are you guys able to see listenership daily or live or any of that stuff? Like, can you see numbers? Like, hey, this many people are tuning in at the John Dodson bit or something like that. Is any of that stuff? Kick up or go down?
The way they do it is it's a pretty antiquated system here in Albuquerque. So they have it used to be a company called Arbitron. They would actually send out paper diaries.
Sounds like a transformer.
Yeah. Yeah. They would send out paper diaries and people would fill them out. So they would send out so many diaries, and try to spread them around the city. Well, if you went too heavy in one place, like say if you were too heavy in the South Valley, then the Hispanic stations would do really well. Maybe country stations, hip hop stations.
Oh, this is like a blanket thing.
This is a blanket thing. This is for all the stations. And now it's my understanding that they're actually going to the people meter, the PPM, which is basically like a little pager that you wear.
Okay.
And what it does is tracks everything that you listen to.
Oh, man.
So you can get results much more quickly than you can with the paper diaries. So it's not immediate gratification like overnights that you see with like Nielsen for TV.
Right.
But it's more real time than it has been.
So how would you guys gauge success on a bit? Like when you guys, because like the Delbert stuff was a long time. You guys did a lot of stuff with that, and it was funny as hell. And I noticed that you guys were starting to kind of slowly walk into video a little bit. Not quite like, the daily stuff like you guys do with Star or anything like that, but that was starting to slowly become a thing. And I feel like a lot of people, I really was looking forward to those, you know what I mean? Because each one of them was pretty legit.
Yeah, I think that was right remember when the little...
the flip.
The flip came out, and we were all excited because we could start video and everything. And but yeah, I think it goes back to that connection with the audience, you know? You can kind of get a feeling from the interaction through phone calls and listeners calling up and being really excited and pumped, about a bit, laughing, and or just out on the street.
Your phone lines would get plugged constantly, right?
Yeah. So that's really how you gauged it. You didn't really know if, I don't know, it was one of those things you couldn't really tell if a bit. It was more of a feeling that we got. Yeah. If we enjoyed it, usually the listeners enjoyed it, kind of thing.
Yeah, we knew when we were hitting on something for sure, because, it was just, I don't know if it was a feeling or what it was, but we knew when something was good and when something wasn't good.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think the chemistry between you guys is really what sold the whole thing, which is, of course, like this is the foundation of a morning show, but it's hard to just slap people together like the current morning show that may be there and just say, now listen to us again because, we were there before. But to listen to you guys, there was actually like a relationship there and you guys were friends, our friends, you know what I mean?
The thing is,
he doesn't return my calls ever.
Unless you're looking for Uber, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unless he needs me for something. But no, that took a long time, that didn't happen overnight. And, the first few years, they were pretty challenging for both of us, and I think any new show that starts out is usually going to take some time, to find that chemistry. I do a show now with Steve-O Jeter, and we've known Steve-O, because we could kind of cross over, he'd be over here at 88.3 and he'd call us when we were doing our show and we'd call him on his show. And so
that's right. I remember that now.
Yeah. We've always kind of had that friendship and that bond.
He really what was happening was Dex was just cementing his backup plan in case something happened. It paid off.
He smelled it. It was coming.
Come to find out, this was my only other option after we got fired. But no, it was when I jumped on and started doing the show with Steve-O, there really was that instant chemistry.
Yeah.
But I think it was because we were friends. We had hung out before, and it was. Sorry. You know what? Don't touch the button. You wanted to hit the button. It was one of
that does.
It was a pretty instant chemistry in that way. But I think for a lot of shows, if you're just gonna put a bunch of people together, it takes a little bit to find.
Yeah, it takes a long time. We had some dicey moments before we actually started. I think when we I don't think it was 3 years. I think it was probably a year and a half, maybe. Probably about a year and a half into us doing the show, we were just having a really hard time with each other.
Yeah.
And we did a bit on the serial killer that supposedly lived in the foothills and was killing prostitutes and carrying their bodies up there. And I really think that was probably the moment when everything just kind of started clicking for us.
Sure.
I don't know what it was that happened, but I think that's really when it happened.
Yeah. I don't know if when I pushed you down the mountain into the cactus.
Yes.
But I saved you at the same time.
You did save me.
You looked into my eyes.
I did look into your eyes.
It was never, it was just different from that moment. Yeah.
Did he hold you?
He didn't hold me.
He was crying. He was screaming.
There was no
the ghost
smuggling
was after
going on
us.
there.
Yeah, no, it did take us a while to find that chemistry. But even towards the end, before we got fired, there was a lot of... not between Buck and I, but there was a third on our show that
how many people listen to your podcast?
I would say roughly 500 a month. For
nice.
Sure. Yeah,
that's nice. Yeah,
yeah. For being the fact that you guys
can we be really open about why we got fired?
I would love
to.
Yeah,
if you want to, go ahead.
I think a lot of people are wondering about that.
So I think it's twofold. I think we have had a situation where we had a sales manager at the time who knew how to go out and sell the station. She was selling the station when we didn't have ratings. Nobody knew who we were. She was really, really good at her job.
Sure.
And, it was harder for us to get ratings because, excuse me, at the time, you had to have a home phone, a landline. in order to be able to get diaries.
Okay.
Right. So majority of our listeners are all cell phone people.
Right.
You know, they're younger people with cell phones, and people with cell phones didn't get diaries.
Right.
So our ratings would always fluctuate. You
Sure.
know, we would do really good. We were number 1, and then, you know, we were number 15. You know, you just never knew what was going to happen.
Compared to other Clear Channel stations, is what or Clear Channel shows is what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so fast forward, we get a new sales manager, and she's just strictly, you know, live by the numbers, die by the numbers kind of deal. You know, if you get ratings, we can go out and sell you. If you don't get ratings, we can't sell you. You know, and she wasn't going to get up and go do what the previous sales manager did.
Wasn't a go-getter.
She was not a go-getter. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was number 1. I think the other thing probably that lent itself to us getting fired was when you had an episode live on the air one day with our third, and I don't know, I can't even remember what happened, like what started it or what happened, but he had an interaction on the air that wasn't super awesome.
Okay.
And after that happened, I mean, how soon did we get fired after that? Like a month, maybe 2?
Yeah, it was shortly after that for sure.
Yeah,
I want to say
because
about
they
a
were
month.
questioning us both, like the operations managers, like, "What the f are you thinking, Dex?" And
Yeah, but even when I look back, when we got fired, and I started to really think back over even 2-3 months,
yeah,
I kind of
something
I think
fishy
they
was
knew
something fishy was going on.
Yeah, but I think it was. I don't even think it was more locally that did the firing. I think it was more corporate.
Yeah.
Because now you look at iHeart, they went bankrupt.
Right.
And I think they were really trying to find the shows that, you know, okay, the Buck and Dex, they're making that much money. The station's making
Which
this
wasn't
much,
much, by the way.
I mean,
don't.
radio, we were doing pretty well. You know, for most radio shows, we were doing, like, Buck and I, we got in on a sweet deal back in 06 or 07, right before the market crashed.
That's like a lock it in kind of thing.
Yeah, we got we got a great contract before the market crashed, and we
You're
were
welcome.
able to. Yeah, well, that was all Buck, but we were able to keep that contract pretty much to the end.
Yeah.
And so even a lot of our bosses, they would look at our contract and be like, "What? You guys got this contract?" You know. So I think we did very well, but I think it was more of a corporate decision to let us go.
Sure.
I still think I mean, at this point, there was probably a lot of local involvement still, you know, where they could have gone either way, and they just said, let's try something different. And it was really weird, too, because we had just won the Alibi Best of the City.
That's why I don't know if I agree with you, because we were first, second, third very consistently in the ratings.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Very consistently. We were like,
because you guys would talk about it every time that would come in.
Yeah, we were winning awards, and so the show was growing. It was. I think it was the best it ever was. Now, as far as the energy, and I mean, the third on our show, it was Buck and I definitely were walking around on eggshells because it was like we didn't want to.
So let me ask you a question about that, and I know that you're trying to be as polite as possible.
Yeah.
But I mean, is that genuine, or is that, you know, because like I've met you guys, I've talked to you guys.
What do you mean? Is it genuine?
The personality that the third would bring. Was that genuine, or was that something that was put on? Because I always wondered about that. Because
No, that was him.
Okay. No, and I just wonder, because I, you know, not to judge, but who, you know, you see this personality coming through the radio, and you wonder, you know, like, are you guys legit? But I've dealt with you guys long enough, even over the phone. I've called you guys a million times, and it was always the same kind of attitude, even off air or whatever. You know what I mean? Not to say the other one wasn't, but I wondered about that because the way that it went down, you guys got fired, and then right away, that individual may not be the one that is now running, you know, part of that morning show. It's like interesting. Like, how did that play out?
Well, he's not anymore.
Okay, and I don't even listen to the station.
After you lasted maybe a year, maybe.
He lasted about 18 months, and then they pulled him off and put the syndicated show on.
Now he's back doing
his afternoons. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is like, if you look at it, those guys they didn't have the same chemistry, but I think that the corporate may have thought that they could have brought that, you know, up, and I just don't think it was there. I mean, how long did you guys last compared to 18 months? You know what I mean? Yeah,
no, we're definitely a unicorn in the sense of you don't really see morning shows do what we did.
Yeah.
You know, typically morning shows don't stay at a place for 15, 16, 17 years, whatever. Yeah. I mean, you have a couple of them that have done it. You know, you have like Kevin and Bean in LA, and now the Woody Show, you know, the new show that's on there. They've actually been together for a while. They've probably been together for about 10 years.
Right. Or like a Bob and Tom.
Yeah. Those guys are around doing it forever. So we were definitely a unicorn in that sense.
So how being a radio DJ across the board, I know that you guys individually, well, maybe I should ask that first. So you guys individually were hosting shows before you guys came together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually started at The Edge in 1994.
Wow.
I started there after I got out of the military, and I got out of the military in December of 93 and started at The Edge in 94.
Wow.
And I worked there until about either 98 or 99, and then left. I was asked to leave, and I worked at a couple other, another radio station here, another company, and then ended up coming back in 2003.
Yeah. And I started at The Edge in 2001. And did the morning show for a couple years until I came on with Buck.
But didn't you do something back in Montana? Or
I did, yeah. There was at one point.
He almost got sued, or
Well,
he
I
did get sued and almost got fired.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what I inherited when he came down here. That's the first thing I heard. Is
I
like,
mean, if you do the show in your underwear, like nobody can see you. How did that happen? You know?
Well, so I started at The Edge in 2001 with a guy named Adam 12, and he left and went to Boston. They brought on a guy named Young Mark. I don't know, our chemistry, we were butting heads a lot. And so I had the opportunity to go back and work at a Clear Channel station in Montana. So I took that opportunity and went back home, and I was there for almost a year, and I got fired for doing a bit with Delbert. Delbert's from Montana. So I brought him on as my stunt kid when I was doing the morning show up in Montana. And I did a bit after Valentine's Day where we would send Delbert, we called him Poopid, to your exes, or if your partner gave you a bad Valentine's Day, we'll have Poopid deliver you a dirty diaper.
Oh, man.
Well, some girl called in, and she
was a high school girl.
She was 14, and she called her best friend, full name on the air, a slut.
Oh, man.
And Clear Channel didn't have a dump button where I could dump it, and it didn't go over the air.
And by dump, can you explain that?
A dump button is, so there's a delay when you're listening to a show usually. Okay. Like here, we have a 40-second delay.
Okay.
So basically, if somebody says an F-bomb, says something inappropriate,
Live.
I can hit that button and it'll cut off like 15 seconds of that conversation.
I remember that, but I just want to so that these guys know, because podcasting, we don't get that. Sure. It's all post, you know.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, no, you can say the F word if you want on a podcast.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, this girl's mom called into the show, said she was on the phone with the attorney. She was going to sue us.
Oh, man.
We called
That's
her daughter,
housewife.
her 13, 14-year-old daughter, a slut on the air. You said my daughter's full name. So I stopped the bit, told Delbert to just come back, and we moved on. Well, I got called into the boss's office, and sure enough, an attorney contacted Clear Channel.
Wow.
And so they were suing.
Do you know how much they settled for?
I heard, I never got a straight answer, but I heard it was somewhere around 50 grand or something.
My Lord.
I don't know if that's true, but that's...
No wonder we got fired.
Well, that's the thing. I
just
didn't
cut the rope, man.
I didn't get fired. I didn't get fired from that bit because Clear Channel didn't have a dump button installed.
So it was their fault.
So, because if
That's
there
a
was a
beautiful
dump
thing.
button, I would have dumped it and that girl's name would have never went out. And I felt terrible because if I would have known that she was 14, I would have never even done the bit.
So was the issue the fact that she was underage?
Yes, underage. And
anytime you can never really blast somebody like that on the air, though.
Yeah, you don't want
first
somebody
and
to
last
call
name.
in. Yeah, it's terrible. I would dump that no matter if it was a 14 or a 20-year-old.
Well, I remember you guys always warning people against that when they would call in live, like, yo, you're live. Don't be stupid.
Yeah.
Do you guys get fined if somebody cusses and you don't catch it?
No. The FCC has to get a complaint has to be filed with the Federal Communications Commission, and then they, then they investigate it, and if they find there was something finable, then that's when you get the fine.
Like you meant to do it, like you were trying to do it on purpose or something.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, so at that point, getting sued, it was a headache, and it was awful because I did feel bad.
Yeah.
There was an opportunity where because Buck was doing a show with Young Mark.
I actually said that I was the one that actually said to bring him down.
Okay.
I had no idea he was going to be such a peckerhead.
I know. So I was talking to Bill May, and I was like, hey, do you think I might be able to come back?
Yeah.
Because I was still doing middays on the Edge from Montana. I was voice tracking is what they call it. I was sending in my voice.
Interesting. Okay.
So people still thought I was on the Edge here doing middays.
Yeah.
So Bill's like, come on, come home. So I came back, and that's when Buck and I started doing the show together.
Yeah.
That was
That's super cool.
2003, yeah.
So do you guys feel like at one point, did you feel the breath of like things changing in the industry besides just Clear Channel as a whole, but like with podcasting coming in, YouTube becoming so big, did you guys feel like you were losing traction as radio hosts? Like, because at one point that was the thing, you know what I mean? Like, you only had radio since 1950 something as really like a mass way to communicate with people and to entertain people in that method. Do you guys start to see podcasts coming up and things like that were starting to kind of encroach on your morning time? Because I mean, most people I would say were driving to work or at work and they're listening to you.
Yeah.
Whereas now all day long I have headphones and I'm listening to podcasts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think we lost any audience to podcasting. I mean, we had talked to Adam Carolla a number of times. You know, we probably interviewed him 3 or 4 times, and he had the #1 podcast in the country
I think he still
in the world. Joe
maybe?
Rogan does now.
Okay, yeah.
Joe
Well,
Rogan's
it's like switches. Depends.
They're battling for number one.
Yeah.
But I think we, you know, going back to what Dex had said earlier, you know, we had kind of built this weird, crazy, like socio-cultural family.
Yeah.
You know, and it was really just kind of like we're all buddies hanging out all the time.
That's what it felt like.
We had
for sure.
We had a girl named Sheila.
Hello, Sheila.
Hello, Sheila. Yeah, she actually wrote a dissertation on us.
Wow.
And what we did as a show and how we created this dynamic. And that was like it was like a thesis or something that she did, you know, but it was cool to see that, you know, and it was kind of unintentional. Like we didn't start out with this plan that, okay, hey, we're going to create this big group of people and we're going to call it the Edge Army and the Buck and Dex Army.
Well, hell, I would think that almost every morning show, any show, YouTube, podcast, you name it, their aim is to do that. You know what I mean? Whereas you guys just did it without even trying. I mean, you were just going to work, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. You know, I think it's just all about, you know, giving a shit about people and, you know, just talking to them like they're, you know, not talking at them.
Yeah.
But just talking to them.
Sure. Well, there's people that call in with some pretty heartfelt things.
Yeah.
You know, and you guys would give advice from like a normal standpoint, you know, like just, it wasn't like talking to Adam Carolla or something like that, you know, because like something like that, I feel like you're going to call Adam Carolla and you're going to be like, man, this guy's going to give me a very, I don't know how to say it, like corporate answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like very TV show. Whereas you guys would like give me like, damn, I didn't think about it like that. You know what I mean? Like, all right, cool. You know, and being in high school, like, Dimebag died. And I remember like a lot of people were super sad about that, and rest in peace Dimebag. But like, you know, people were calling in, it was a thing, you know what I mean? And you guys being a metal station-ish at the time, you know, it was kind of like one of those things where people were like calling in sad and you guys were really like understanding of that, you know what I mean? Where not a lot of shows would have really gave a shit because it's Pantera, you know what I mean? Like in terms of...
I remember a situation, remember when Marty Chavez, the mayor at the time.
Scene killer.
He was trying to shut down the music scene downtown, and that was devastating to us and our audience.
You're saying the music scene, this is the all ages thing, right?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
We were just talking about this the other day when I was downtown. So Marty Chavez and Pete Dinelli was the head of the downtown action team.
Okay.
And essentially what they were trying to do is they were trying to outlaw all ages shows because they were concerned about the alcohol that could be passed back and forth between...
I've been to so many shows, man. I've never seen that be a thing. Ever.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like he's never been down there and stepped foot inside the venue. So it
was all bull.
Yeah, it was all bullshit. So we had this call to action like, hey, the city council meeting is tonight and we're all going down.
Yeah.
And we want to invite you all to come down with us.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. They all came down and we read prepared statements and, you know, made fun of Pete Dinelli. I mean, I did anyway and got in trouble for that. But you know, it was this cool, the people took ownership of us, which was super cool.
Yeah.
You know,
it was like we were the speaking representatives for them. You know?
Yeah.
We felt like, okay, they're shutting down the scene. Well, I mean, our station at the time, The Edge, was, I mean, that was our livelihood too,
we had 80% of the shows downtown at the time.
Sunshine and the Launch Pad. Those are
you
huge
guys would talk
venues
about all
for
of
us.
them. Yeah, you guys would announce one like, we got something coming up tomorrow or the next day. And
so that's just going to shut down businesses like the Sunshine and the Launch Pad, which is going to affect us.
So is Joe Anderson part of that mix? Because I know that he owns the Sunshine, he owns
Launchpad.
He doesn't own El Rey.
This guy does now.
Yeah, right. We get to that, right? But I mean, but he would have been one of the most affected people because all ages shows bring in. I mean, if you go to like the Sunshine, like the majority of the crowd is people that are, you know, I wouldn't say under 18, but probably, you know what I mean. I would say a huge portion of them, especially the more up and coming bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, now I'm of age, I can go into the bar and stuff like that. But I probably saw the majority of my shows when I was underage. You know what I mean? I never once did I ever give a shit about alcohol at all.
Yeah.
I didn't really care. Like I just wanted to go in there, and Sunshine is such a tiny spot. Like you could just smash people in there, and it was a great time. You know, you know, beneficially. You know, get your anger out. It was like therapy. I loved it.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Do you remember when Marty's daughter called us?
Did she smash on him?
Yeah, pretty. Yeah,
she wanted to. We didn't air that, did we?
Did we? I don't know.
I don't think we aired that. I think we actually took pause for once in our life.
Yeah.
Maybe be careful with that one. Just that one.
That's crazy.
She was of age though.
Yeah,
she was of age.
Yeah.
She was 18, 19 years old at the time.
Sure.
So.
She's like, I can't drink, but my dad's an asshole.
Yeah.
Well, so what did you guys ever have any sort of like local Albuquerque leadership that was on your guys' side in a like kind of like the Bill May kind of thing? Did you guys have any of that? I mean, was there anybody that bought into the fact that you were a platform for so many young people?
Really, the only person that bought into it was Darren White. You know, at the time, he's a very good friend, and he was, I think at the time I don't think he was the sheriff anymore, but I think he was like the number 2 for the city of Albuquerque as far as like the top cops.
Sure.
And I think he was like right under the mayor. So he was the person, honestly, that, you know, kind of had our back. And other than that, I mean, no, we were kind of on our own. And I mean, we had senators come in that were trying to do weird stuff, and we would ask them tough questions. You know, so yeah, nobody really liked us.
I beg to differ, gentlemen. There was an outpouring of grief when you guys got fired. Outpouring. I mean, that Buck and Dex Army page blew up and exploded. People were like, what?
Yeah, it's so weird. I mean, even to this day, I mean, we got fired May 4th, 2015, and I had somebody, I was down at a show at the El Rey last week, and this guy came up and just started talking. He said, bro, I love you guys, man. I love you. You know, and that's the weird thing, too, is like, nobody really sees us as different people.
Yeah.
We're like one person.
Yeah, Buck and Dex. I mean,
we're Buck and Dex. We're one person. It's not Team Buck, Team Dex. It's like we're just the same person. It's kind of weird.
That's why I didn't care how long it took. I was just going to keep going, trying to message you guys. I was like, I'm going to get them both. I'm going to get them both. I'm not going to just get one, because I feel like it'd only be one side of the story. You know what I mean? And you guys are both very different, even though you guys are seen as the same. You know what I mean? Seen as the same show, the same voice.
This is what's funny is part-time, I'm an Uber and Lyft driver.
Right.
So this is what's funny. I've been doing this this morning show now with Steve-O on Star 88 for a little over 3 years.
Wow,
since I got fired.
Yeah.
And no joke, when I go out and work on a Friday night, I would say probably out of about 15 rides that I do that night, I would say probably 6 or 7 people recognize me out of those rides. And only one person in the 4 months I've been an Uber and Lyft driver recognize me from Star 88. Really? It's always Buck and Dex. And nobody knows I'm doing a morning show anymore.
Wow.
So when I tell them, I'm still doing a morning show, they're like, what?
Right.
You're on the air? What station? You know, they're freaking out, you know? Or sometimes they'll find out I'm not with Buck anymore, and they're like, oh, well, that sucks.
Some people actually think we're the Woody Show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I bet somebody actually
still think we're the same.
But the Woody Show's like out of LA or something, right?
Yeah, it is.
Some syndicated show out of LA. But yeah, they're like, I tuned in the other day on 104.1, and you guys were doing this bit, and it was a bit Woody was doing, and I'm like, that wasn't. I sometimes don't even correct
them.
Go with it.
Yeah,
thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Hey, you know,
thanks for listening.
I got some more stuff coming. Just listen.
Yeah, right. It's pretty funny.
So tangenting hair, this is kind of what I do in the podcast. But so for interviews, that was a big part of you guys doing that. And I feel like you guys are like I was coming here in some respects, because you guys would get such, I would say A-list in some of these guys, but a little nervous, right? And you guys would express that. And I think that kind of added to your guys' human element that came to the show. So what was your favorite interview that you guys did? Because I know that in some places you guys would do them more or less. One of you guys would prepare to hit the person up, and then the other one would kind of just come with like interjection questions. But which one was your guys' favorite interview? I don't know, individually or?
I think for me, it was Henry Rollins.
Oh, man. Ooh, Rollins was a good one.
Because he loves to talk. And that was...
Yeah, but you know what? That's the lazy answer, because...
Well, I'm also interested in what he's saying,
Rollins, you can just say, so we've got Henry Rollins on the phone. Henry, how are you? And then,
he does his,
and then you just shut your mic off, and you sit back, and 15 minutes later, you're like... Right on, Henry Rollins. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's definitely, it was one of those you do kind of kick back, but I love Henry Rollins.
Yeah. So I have 2 favorites. We had one live, we had one on the phone. I think the best live one we had was when Cranston came in right before they finished Breaking Bad.
Good,
And he was really good. He was super funny.
Yeah.
That was really good. And I think the best over the phone interview we did was probably Rogan. And
see, I don't even remember interviewing Rogan.
Rogan talked to us for like 45 minutes.
Really?
So when they set these interviews up, typically what they do is they say, okay, you've got 6 minutes. We're going to call you at 8:06 and you're going to go to 8:12. And so we had to set it up and prepare that way, right?
Yeah.
So we had 6 minutes with Rogan. And I think we were his last interview.
Last interview.
And this was at the time. So we were one of the very first stations in the United States to cover the UFC.
Wow.
So the UFC used to fly us out there all the time. You know, they'd put us up in hotels. We'd broadcast. We'd interview everybody. And so Rogan obviously was one of the commentators for the UFC, or is one of the commentators. And he called up and talked to us, and just immediately, you know, I don't even know what he was calling about. I don't think it was anything mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
But we just launched into like this mixed martial arts tirade and just started talking about stuff.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because you could tell during the interview that he was like really refreshed that there were people out there who liked what he liked and were actually interested in what he was
nerding
doing.
Out hard on the fighting
totally
stuff.
like geeking out hard on it. And we literally talked to him for like 45 minutes.
That's awesome.
And it was the guy would come up, he's like, okay guys, it's time. You know, like the producer would come up, and finally Joe Rogan had said something. He's like, it's fine, we're just going to talk. We'll just go.
Amazing.
So it was killer. It was such a good time.
And I think, you know, that right there, those situations made me, I never wanted to be the typical radio guy because, you know, hey, everybody is, you know, the blah, blah, blah show, you know,
sound
and it's
effects.
all crazy.
Well, your sound effects were good, though.
Right? Yeah.
New topic. I love
exactly.
that.
So, I don't know, when we get people like a Joe Rogan or somebody that'd come on the show and they'd be like, man, this is refreshing because it's not like being on one of these, you know, lame, wacky morning
Everybody's
shows.
asking the same questions.
You know. So, you know, to get that response a lot of times was great, you know, because I listen to Joe Rogan now on his podcast, and he talks about how he just always hated going in to do morning radio because it was so early.
So corporate.
And then you have these guys trying to be funny, you know, at 5 a.m. So I totally get that, you know, and I just wanted to be that guy that, you know, we could be buds and hang out and have a conversation.
Yeah, we were always kind of the anti-radio people.
Yeah.
That's really
we kind of made fun of that, you know.
Yeah, that's really kind of the stance.
That's where Joe and the Deaf
took.
guy came up, you know. Because Joe was always, hey, everybody. Yeah. It's over the top.
And the best part about doing the interviews, too, was a lot of times we would catch the tail end of the person's interview. So, like, the producer would bring us on the line early before the interview was over. And we could hear the tail end of somebody else's interview. And, I mean, it was always priceless. You know, I mean, they're just, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah. Tag.
Yeah.
Follow these things. All the corporate stuff. Oh, that's awesome. In the same breath, what is the worst interview you guys did? What was one that just fell apart and you guys were like, what am I doing in my life?
Well, for me it was, I don't know. I at the time I didn't follow Charlie Murphy all that much. Charlie Murphy. Now I love Charlie Murphy.
Yeah, he was kind of a dickhead.
Oh my gosh, I hung up on Charlie Murphy.
Really? Okay.
Because he just sounded like he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
We'd ask him a question and he'd give us these one-word answers.
Yeah.
And so finally I was just like, you know what, man, if you don't want to be here.
Fuck this guy. Let's go.
Yeah, so I just hung up on him and Charlie Murphy. But now it's like, I laugh at his bits, man. I just love that guy.
That was a good way for me to get Dex to like hang up on somebody too or stop something, is I would just like randomly drop an F-bomb.
Yeah. Oh, man. I didn't know that.
Exactly, yeah.
Because you were the guy. You were the guy on the keys all the time, right? Okay.
He was.
Okay. And then I don't really see the T-Rex arms. I don't know.
See, that was the thing.
I don't see it.
They're pretty small. Look,
No, they're not.
They barely go to his waist.
All right, we even measured
Look, he's
them,
like
and
this.
for my height,
Look,
they're
his arms are like
exactly
this. Look.
where Google said they should be.
There's a standard for
Because
these things?
Google's
Yes,
always
Damn.
right.
Absolutely,
Wow.
yes. No, it was a playoff of a T-Dex.
Okay.
Yeah,
T-Rex.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
you know, we actually did one interview, and this was totally staged, but it was really funny because the person being interviewed didn't know what was going on. But we used to have this little bell. It was called the bell, and that's what it said on it, the bell. And you know, we would tap it if things were good. And we were interviewing America Ferrera, who's on what's that new show she's got on?
Ugly Betty?
No. Well, she was on Ugly Betty.
She was on Ugly Betty.
Superstore. She's on Superstore.
Okay.
And so we had planned this out. It's like, let's get in a fight over the bell, and you know, just have a fight
And make it super uncomfortable.
So we start interviewing her, and we're talking to her, and I go to get my bell, and I'm like, dude, what happened to my bell? And he's like, oh, I broke it. And I'm like,
I
just
remember
started
that.
going off
You guys
on
played
him.
that later, a few times.
Yeah, and just started going off on him, and finally the producer got on. He's like, all right, guys, we're done. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And she was freaking out. She was like,
But didn't we interview her years later and we're like, hey, remember those radio guys that got into a big fight and made you feel uncomfortable? And she's like, oh my gosh. She like flipped out. So that was kind of our thing sometimes. But we got to know our booking agents, these guys that would, you know, book these interviews for us. And so we kind of started having a good relationship, a friendship
They got an
with
idea
them.
how you guys roll.
Yeah, so we'd
yeah.
contact them before and be like, hey man, can we do a Joe and the Deaf guy?
Yeah.
Or can we get into a fight?
Yeah.
And sometimes they'd be like, yeah, maybe not. But sometimes they'd be like, yeah, do whatever you want. Go
Right.
for it. And so we would have some fun, and they would actually go along with it, and they wouldn't cut us off.
That's amazing.
But then we punked the Booker one day.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
We punked the Booker one day because we were interviewing Carlos Condit, and he was back in New York for a fight or somewhere in New Jersey, and we had set it up with them. We're like, hey, we're gonna fuck with the Booker on this, so just play along with this, and so I just started talking like all kinds of crazy shit to Carlos when we were doing this interview. And Bob came on and he was like, Bob the Booker, he comes on and he was like, all right, guys, we're done. And Carlos is like, no,
what's the
like,
language?
Carlos is like, it's fine. He's like, I'll talk to this guy.
Dude, that was so great.
And we never told him either.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were very like Andy Kaufman-ish because we would have like the really long hustle going, or we would do stuff just for ourselves.
Yeah.
And it was kind of this weird sense of comedy that we had. It's like,
well, if you guys would find something,
if it was funny to us, that was a win too.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it wasn't funny for everybody else.
Yeah, we didn't really care.
It was a win for us.
Well, there was what was the bit with the girl? What was her name? You guys had
the crying girl.
Yeah. And like, man, that was so good, and I think that was something that you guys really. Like that kind of comedy, you know what I mean? That really was owned by you guys for sure.
Yeah.
Well, what about, okay, so let me ask you this, and again, I'm tangenting here, but one of the bits that it's legendary, and I think that I saw that something you guys shared to each other on social media was Cheaters Hotel.
Yep.
So Cheaters Hotel, was that something you guys created, and were those real?
Yeah, so we created it. It was actually a play off of something else.
Okay.
There's another bit out there that people do called War of the Roses, and we thought that was kind of lame.
Okay.
And so what we
sounds a bit lame.
We wanted to do is we wanted to make our own version of it. So we just created our own, and we called it Cheaters Hotel. And so the concept is you call somebody, hey, you want a bouquet of roses? Who do you want to send it to? And they either send it to their wife or their girlfriend.
Oh, that's a little short. Okay, I can see how that could be.
I don't think I've ever told Buck this, and but I actually stole Cheaters Hotel from another morning show in San Diego.
Oh, did you really?
I did. I don't think I've ever told Buck this.
Oh, I had no idea.
I kind of just made it out to be like ours, But there was a show in San Diego that I used to listen to called The Mikey Show.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Mikey.
And so he would do Cheaters Hotel.
Okay.
And so I was like, gosh, man, if I ever do a morning show, this is the bit right here.
Yeah.
So that's when we started doing Cheaters Hotel, was because of the Mikey Show kind of inspired.
It worked. Yeah.
Yeah. Come to find out later on, after I get fired, Buck sells Cheaters Hotel to our friend Double J, who does a morning show in Hawaii and doesn't tell me, even though it was my bit.
Oh, I got to have a smoke real quick.
I'm proud of you.
Is that why the gum came out? I got it.
I'm proud of you for
right.
not doing the vape pen, man. That's a big step for you.
Yeah. First of all, I didn't sell the bit. I just told him he could have it and use it because
and he didn't even tell me.
he's in Hawaii. Who cares?
All of a sudden,
This is kind of true.
Hold
Nobody
on.
cares.
But this is weird, right? This is weird because Double J is a friend of mine, ours, and so all of a sudden I'm on Instagram one day and I see Double J post, "Hey, check out the latest episode of Cheaters Hotel. Find out who cheated." I'm
like
going
verbatim.
He what? He didn't even call or text me and ask if he could use it. He just took it.
Yeah.
So immediately, I don't know. I found out that Buck. Oh no, I contacted Double J and kind of gave him a hard time. He's like, I talked to Buck. He said it was totally cool to do it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You could have called me.
Come on.
And
Who cares?
asked.
You know what? He's one of our he's probably, I wish we could do a morning show with him.
Yeah.
Like the three of us doing a morning show would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because he was probably the most similar person to us that I've seen out there.
He was like early Buck. He was BC Buck.
Yeah, he was Buck before I became a Christian.
Right.
But he'd
actually be smoking cigarettes. He wouldn't be eating gum,
Yeah,
right? Is that what-
exactly.
Yeah. But he was, as far as like in the market, he was probably the most similar to us. And
That's awesome.
I think we just kind of had this connection with him. So he's a good dude. He's a real good dude. And when he asked me about that, I was like, yeah, dude, you're in Hawaii. Go ahead, take it.
So we didn't explain it. What exactly is Cheaters Hotel for somebody that never heard it? Like what was the premise?
So Cheaters Hotel, what we did was we would call somebody, people would write into us, and they would ask us to help them find out if their significant other was cheating.
Right.
And what we would do is I would call them and I would represent that I was from the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada.
You sold it so well.
Yeah. And my name would always change. I was Bob Sacamano. I was this, I was that, but my name always changed. And we would offer them a weekend. All they had to do is get themselves out there. You get yourself out here and we're going to take care of the rest. You don't have to worry about money for food, for gambling. Right. We're going to take care of all that. We're going to give you a junior suite. It's 1,300 square feet. You're going to get a food credit. You're going to get a gaming credit. You're going to get all that stuff. You just have to get yourself out there. So people would jump at it.
Yeah.
They were super excited about it.
Sure.
And that was Cheaters Hotel. And part of the deal was, you know, like the roses, you know, who do you want to send the roses to? We had the robe. You know, we're also going to give you as part of your package, there's going to be a gift basket for you and your guest, and we're going to have 2 robes, one for you and one for your guest. We're going to have your name embroidered on it. So what's your guest's name so we can put that on the robe?
Yeah.
And a majority of the time they would say somebody else's name.
Right, rather than their actual significant
girlfriend or boyfriend or husband, wife, whatever. So that's how we would catch them.
But those were legit, is what you're saying. You guys never staged those?
A lot of them were legit. Some of them were staged.
Okay.
You know?
Because some of them seem to just go so tragic, and I'm always wondered, why the hell would they stay on the phone? You know what I mean?
Why are you opening up that curtain, bro? Huh?
You know,
why are you letting them peek in?
We have to be real about it. You know, I mean, it's like a lot of them were real. A lot of them, you know, some of them weren't. You know, we took liberties.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, man, it's WWE.
Yeah.
We were the wrestlers of radio. Quit filming me, you dick.
This is to promote his podcast.
Yeah,
what's the podcast?
That.
Oh, you know what? You just shut it up.
Bird on a perch.
Cool.
A perch of birds.
A perch of birds.
Hold on.
Sorry.
What's the podcast?
It's a Perch of Birds podcast.
Why is it called a perch of birds? Let's interview him for a minute.
I'll tell you why. So I was actually looking for a name, and I had a Chrome web browser plugin, and it brings up works of art. And I was looking for a name, and I didn't really care, but anything is taken now. Any .com, any, you know, it's all trademarked and set up. So I thought, instead of doing that, why don't I pick something that nobody's ever heard? So this thing pops up, and it's these finches on a branch. It's some painting in the 1800s. It sounds boring as hell, but I thought these finches are all on the same level. They're all speaking from an equal perspective. I'm not the host, and you guys are the guests. We're on the same level. We're all talking.
I like that.
The same kind of smack to each other. You know what I mean? So I just stuck with it, and it's a bit long, and I probably wouldn't have chosen that now that I've actually like become a podcaster, and like I'm doing this, and I'm worldwide. You know, 98th in Czechoslovakia.
Nice, dude. Good for you.
You're welcome, Czechoslovakia. But yeah. So now that I have it on there, I mean, again, I have the trademark and the .com for everything. So I decided to go that route, and it just seems to work. You know, and then the theme is people pursuing greatness. So essentially, you know, you guys are still, even after, how should I put this? Even after kind of falling down in one sense, you know, you guys got fired, even though you guys were kind of at the top of the DJ food chain in Albuquerque, if not New Mexico, if not in the world. You guys were international.
Probably the world.
Yeah.
We were world. We were global.
Yeah, we probably kickstarted podcasting. That was probably us.
Right.
You know, we probably inspired so many.
Maybe even Tesla. I don't know.
You're probably right. Elon probably listened to our show. I'm
right.
sure.
He's like, damn.
I tried to get him to do a podcast with me. He didn't want to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not true at all.
I have a full setup in my basement.
Really?
Like, I was going to do a podcast with Double J, and then he ended up going to Hawaii, but I like have a full setup in my basement.
Let's do it then. I'll do it.
Look at
It's
that.
too late.
What do you mean?
The ship has sailed, son.
So wait, what
I've got other stuff happening now.
Oh, you're doing another show. What's your show?
I'm not doing a show.
See, this is the problem with Buck.
I have other things besides entertainment. Well, I mean, I can't say it's not entertainment.
Can I use your studio?
No. I mean, you can rent it.
He's gonna. Hey,
I can rent it.
Hey,
I'm a capitalist, baby.
So speaking of extra shows, so you've been doing Don't Sweat the Small Stuff.
Yeah.
With Steve-O. So how's that going? I watched like 2 or 3 of those things. That is very well done. Is that just you two guys, or
honestly,
they have a professional film crew?
Well,
like legitimately, they do.
Yeah. It looks like it.
So I was out. I was out on a run.
Okay.
And I honestly was. I listened to Joe Rogan.
Is this when you fell and hit your head?
No.
Okay.
It's not. No.
No cactuses involved in that one.
I listened to a bunch of different podcasts and stuff, but I'm pretty sure it was Joe Rogan was talking to a doctor about saunas or something. And so I was on a run just going, gosh, man, all these health benefits on a sauna. This is cool. And then my first thought was maybe I could do a podcast in a shower. And then I'm sitting there going, that's weird and creepy.
It's like Kramer making his food in the shower.
Yeah, exactly. So then I was thinking, well, I wonder if you could do a podcast in a sauna, or is it too hot? So my film guys who make the show great, they work here at Calvary. And so I ran over to their studio and I started, hey, will the mics overheat? Will the cameras overheat? Can you do this at 180, 200 degrees? Is that possible?
Is that how hot? I thought it was 140.
Ours is, the infrared is. But a regular dry sauna at the time, because I didn't even know about infrared saunas.
Yeah.
They were like, there's no way you could do it. So I was like, okay, well, maybe, I don't know, think about it. No joke, about a week later, my film guys come to me and they're like, hey, we bought a sauna.
Oh, wow.
I was like, you bought a sauna? And he's like,
you said it wasn't possible. Now you're buying a sauna.
Well, they found an infrared sauna.
Okay.
And it's not supposed to be portable, but it's super easy to kind of, tear down and put together. And it gets up to about 140 degrees. And so it has windows on it. So it's easy to put some cameras on the outside.
Okay.
So they're never.
So that's how you're doing that.
That's how we're doing it, is through the glass. And so that's kind of where it started, was, all right, let's do this. And Steve-O, I was actually talking about the idea on the air one day, and he made fun of me and thought it was a dumb idea. And I wasn't going to do the show with him. So then when he found out we bought a sauna and I was going through with this, he
changed my mind.
Basically was like, come on, bro. Hey, bro, this would be awesome.
Thanks for that invite again, by the way.
You need me, bro. You need me, man.
Well, I feel like it wouldn't be super bad to have the three of you guys do something.
I still haven't got my invitation yet to go do the show.
Well, at one point, I thought Steve-O was leaving. I thought he was moving.
Yeah.
He was going to.
Yeah, you know what? I should have told you to go fucking kick rocks when you asked me that, too.
What? I thought I was honestly, because my film guys were like, hey, do you think you need a co-host? And I'm like, honestly, I think the original idea is for me to just interview people in a sauna. I didn't want to have a co-host.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, but it's kind of cool to have two people in there with the guests. And I'm like, all right. And so the next person I thought of was Buck. So I hit Buck up. I'm like, hey, if Steve-O leaves, you want to do the...
Yeah.
So it almost came to Buck and Dex back, but in a sauna.
That almost seemed to be the natural progression of the thing, and all the love to Steve-O because he kills it. But I almost thought that was what we were going to see, and then it popped on.
I thought it was.
Yeah, me too.
But I don't know.
Well, look, I think that you guys would have much more efficacy nowadays with so many people, especially my age, listening to podcasts constantly. If you guys did do it, even a one-off or once a month or something like that, I think you guys would kill in the podcast space.
Well, I keep trying to get him to come in once a week because really what I want to do is I want to launch Cheaters Hotel again, and I actually want to do it on Coyote at nights.
Okay.
And he won't come in and do it.
It would work at night. It really would.
I go to bed super early. I can't stay up.
He's like the oldest 41-year-old you'll ever meet in your life.
But that was your thing, right? You would come in early in the studio. You're in at like 4 and you're banging out the keys, whatever you do on the thing. And then that's like, you would get ready for the show, right? Because you'd come in later on the Buck and Dex.
Yeah, he pretty much rode my coattails for 13, 14 years.
That's exactly what it was.
I think at one point it was, because Buck and I, back in the early days, we used to just kind of show up at 5 minutes before the show started, and then we'd wing it. What do you want to do today?
Yeah.
And
that's much of what this is, just to let you know. I'm on the way and I'm like, questions. Oh shit, driving.
But I don't know. I found that throughout the years, being prepared and having things prepared before we get on the air, it seemed to work better. So we could talk things through or have the sound bites ready if I needed them.
Well, in 5 days a week over a year, I'm sure that you guys needed more material. So it was easier for you guys to come up with stuff that was set up. And it's like, well, if we run out of shit to talk about, we can move into XYZ.
Yeah, we, we were definitely equals in that as far as, he would show up and he would do like all the back end logistical, technical stuff as far as like uploading the, music beds.
Type stuff.
Like producer stuff. But as far as like, quality as far as kind of producing the show, like we never had a producer. We were totally equals. He did as much as I did. I did a lot more stuff that was different, more for the station as a whole.
Right.
Like booking the Christmas shows, like the Not So Silent Night and the Edge Fest and stuff like that.
That was awesome.
Yeah, so that was all me.
Yeah.
And then he would do that stuff. But as far as like the bits and stuff, we would always just bounce things off of each other and see like, would this work? Would this work? We came up with like
a lot of stuff didn't work.
That's a stupid idea.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, but through it, like Cheaters Hotel was his idea, and then we kind of sat down and collaborated and figured out how it was going to work and made it good. We did the punked interviews, which a lot of people liked. The Miss Buck and Dex thing, everybody loved the Miss Buck and Dex.
Delbert
the
stuff.
Delberts, the Delberts was all him. He wanted to bring him down, and I was like, okay.
It was for me when I go back to YouTube or listen back to some of those, I still just die laughing.
Yeah.
I still can't believe.
They were so raw to hear, like Delbert in the background.
Yeah, just crying and freaking out.
Oh my God.
And he hasn't changed. He's like
exactly
33, 34 years
old.
old.
I was going to ask about that. He's doing stand-up now,
Oh my
right?
gosh, he's been doing stand-up now for 10 years.
Yeah,
and
that's
the
amazing.
poor kid, man.
I want to try stand up, man. I really do.
Yeah?
I've been like watching a lot of comedy stuff lately, and it's like I don't really think I'm funny, but I watch the way these guys do this and the way they create these bits and how they just do them over and over again, and they just get up anywhere they can and they hone it. And it's like I really want to try that sometime.
It's not far removed from what you guys do, though.
No, it's not. You just have to really talk about. I think one of the reasons why we were somewhat successful is because we just talked about what we knew.
Yeah.
We weren't trying to be something we're not. we were just kind of ourselves.
I
And
was
this
open
is who
about
we
my
are.
life, a
Yeah,
lot.
this is who we are, and I think that's why we had some measure of success here in Albuquerque. But I think with comedy, if you just kind of stick to what you know, it's like, you can be funny. You can take things and you can make them funny.
Sure. Well, if you don't have an issue talking to people like that, you know what I mean? That's the biggest thing. Like if you're a bit of an extrovert in terms of like getting on stage, doing a podcast, doing a radio show, like even though you're not necessarily in front of people in this kind of respect, I think if you're comfortable that way, eventually I think it can catch on. It's just a matter of that feedback, because some people get real bummed out when somebody's like, okay, get off the stage. You know what I mean? Like, because the joke's not working. And you'll even see Delbert on his stuff. Like, there's sometimes where his jokes are bombing and nobody's saying anything. Yeah. And he's just still like, all right, love you guys. Have a good night.
But that's the thing. You have to respect the fact that he gets up there.
Absolutely,
and does what he does. And doesn't get one laugh, but he just sticks through it and gets through his routine.
I'll make you guys a deal. If you guys come up with a 5-minute set, I'll do a 5-minute set as well.
Okay.
I don't know what that means to you, but if
5 minutes is a lot.
It is. Well, what's an open mic? Isn't that
open mic's 5 minutes?
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like if you can knock out 5 minutes, and even if you bomb, I'll do it. I'll get up there.
It's one of those things. I just watched this thing on Amazon called Inside Jokes or Inside Laughs or something like that, and it's basically it follows these 6 comedians around that are trying to get to the Montreal Comedy Festival. It's the largest comedy festival in the world.
Sure.
And what they're doing is they're trying to get on the showcase of these young and up and coming comedians called Just for Laughs. And they followed these people around, and one of the things that they all said is like, you're gonna bomb. Everybody bombs.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are.
Sure.
You're
have no
going
idea what
to
you're doing.
bomb, and you just have to keep going out there and just keep doing it and doing it and doing it.
Yeah.
So, I really want to try it.
Yeah, I would.
I'd love it. I think it's all about just writing. You just have to write your material and sharpen
try
it up.
out.
So.
Right. Yeah. So again, another tangent. I keep doing this. I know. I just don't want to change subjects. And you guys be like, okay, what is that? What podcast besides Joe Rogan are you listening to? What are you guys into? I listen to like Mark Maron. I listen to a lot of Your Mom's House podcast. Rich Roll. He's like an ultra runner. I listen to a lot of his stuff. A lot of like inspirational type stuff. What's on the?
So
they got their phones out here.
My podcast list is I've got Gary Vaynerchuk.
Nice. Okay.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
Because obviously after we got fired, I just went full time in real estate, and that dude's a baller. I mean, as far as like what he does, what he's done business wise is super, super crazy impressive. So I've got his on there. I've got Joe Rogan. I've got the Bad Christian podcast. I've got Scary to Sleep. Have you heard Bunny Ears?
Yes, the Macaulay Culkin
Yeah, the
stuff.
Macaulay Culkin
That is
one.
interesting
I've got that
as hell.
on.
Yeah, he's a different animal for sure.
And then I've got some Bible stuff on there, just some like Christian stuff. I listen to Paul Tripp. And
do you guys mind if I go live for a couple minutes?
No.
It's through the podcast channel. Yeah. Okay, all right. I feel like you can keep rolling. I was just trying to.
Yeah, I got You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes. That's a pretty good one.
Pete Holmes is funny. That show on HBO
that's
is hilarious.
A good one,
Crashing.
Right? Under the Skin with Russell Brand. I enjoy. Let's see. I have Rogan. I have The Fighter and the Kid.
I don't listen to that. Isn't it any good?
Fighter and the Kid?
Yeah.
With
Brendan Schaub.
That's the guy Theo Vaughn, right?
Yeah. So
that dude's hilarious.
So
man.
that
Brian
was
Callen?
He started the podcast with Joe Rogan. Theo Vaughn was the guy who actually started Rogan's podcast with him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it is. I'm almost positive it is.
Let's see. Keep Hammering with Cameron Haynes. Let's see. Inside of You.
Oh, and I have a quilting podcast too.
You're lying to me right now. You have a quilting podcast.
It's really good.
Don't judge me, bro.
Hey, I do underwater basket weaving. No, just
The Andrew Dice Clay.
Okay.
I'm over here now is really good.
Is it really?
Yeah, Andrew Dice Clay is so funny.
I love that he's having a resurgence right now.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah, he totally
Follow
is.
him on Instagram. He's got the best bits on Instagram.
No, you need to follow the Iron Sheik.
Oh, really?
Have you seen his stuff?
No.
The Iron Sheik has had this total comeback. There's a documentary about him called The Sheik or something like that. And he turned into like a total crackhead, like legitimately smoking crack.
Wow.
Got clean. And then somehow the guy that was filming this documentary on him, I think it was his nephew or something like that, he started posting like memes and videos of the Iron Sheik. So there was this one time the Sheik was talking about this guy and he was on Stern. And he Stern on satellite, and he told the guy, he's like, "I'll fuck your ass, I humiliate you," and ever since that video, there's just like this huge resurgence from the Iron Sheik. So you have to follow the Iron Sheik.
So why is he the Iron Sheik? What's the iron part about?
Well, because he's from Iran.
Okay.
And he was the best wrestler that country had ever had.
Interesting.
And so
how do you go from like being the best wrestler in a country like that to crack and crack?
He
like,
was
that's
gonna.
not a thing
I think
in
he was
Iran.
going to get murdered or something in Iran, and so he split and came to the United States and got hooked up with some wrestling crew.
Bunch
and started,
of infidels. That's what it was.
Yeah,
See?
and got hooked up over here, and I mean, a lot of those guys kind of went down a bad road after they left wrestling, but he turned it around and really cool to watch. You should watch it.
Yeah. So then those are some podcasts you guys are dealing with. So we talked a lot about how the Edge kind of went from one genre-ish focused to a vaginal, exactly. And
music.
and it's still there. I think just saying sometimes you find some gems. And certain people grab the DJ spot. But what are you guys listening to? What's on the what's
man, that's I'm
pull
all
the phone
over
out
the
again?
place.
Come on.
Yeah, hold on.
I really am kind of all over the place.
I got to look at my Spotify playlist real quick.
Are you guys heavy metalheads?
I'm a Rob Zombie fan. I still love listening to Zombie.
Okay.
I'm a big fan.
I think for me, I kind of lean more towards the punk rock stuff, but I'm weird though, man. It's like I've got this. So I have a show that I do on Coyote called Buck University or Buck U.
Right.
It's on Saturday nights from 10 to midnight, and they kind of just let me do what I want. So I mean, I'll play anything from like the Vandals to the Rolling Stones. Not the typical Rolling Stones, but just some like weird stuff that they have.
Some stuff that doesn't get played all the damn time.
Yeah,
right.
To Johnny
That's
Cash.
what a good DJ is
to
about, man.
J. Roddy Walston in the Business.
Nice.
I'm all over the place with this show, but it's a lot of fun to do. So I'm really, really kind of all over the place.
Yeah, and I'm more of I love discovering new indie type bands.
Sure.
But Phil Collins will always have a special place in my heart.
Here it comes in the early night.
Yeah,
early
exactly. Yeah. Genesis, and I love 80s music. So
the dichotomy of the two of you guys doing what you do now. Are you allowed to? And I don't dare try to step on toes with this, but are you allowed to play stuff that steps out of the Christian genre on Star 88? Is that like
no?
Oh no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I do play Striper occasionally though on Coyote.
Yeah.
Is this a Christian station?
Coyote?
A Christian band? Sorry.
Yeah, Striper was an 80s metal band.
But they're not. Okay, you're just saying. Okay, I thought you meant like that was a Christian band.
They are a Christian band.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
They used to
throw
I'll play-
Bibles.
I'll play them on Coyote occasionally.
Okay.
On my show.
Well, with that, do you guys, when you guys would try to do these shows that you guys would do when you were Buck and Dex, did you guys look for ones that were your favorites, or was it just like a pool of ones that you were allowed to mess with? Like, these are the ones that
are you talking about like the Not So Silent Nights and the Take the Edge Off Hunger stuff?
Was that personal preference, or was that you guys?
That was kind of us. That was me working with the music people, but then also finding stuff because we really tried to focus on finding cool new music for people. I mean, like
you did. No, you guys did.
Yeah, like I said,
one thing, you guys
like,
did good about
like
that.
Flyleaf. Nobody was playing Flyleaf, and somebody came to me and they said, "Hey, we've got this band, and I have these relationships with these people. Let me check it out." It's like, okay, there's something about this band that's good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do this. Let's bring them here. Let's do a Lodo show and do like $1 for tickets at the launch pad.
Right.
And then let's bring them back after we have some traction 6-8 months down the road, and let's do this other type of show, like a Take the Edge Off Hunger show. And so a lot of it was personal preference, as far as who we were doing. Like when we had 30 Seconds to Mars for our birthday show.
Right, I remember that.
We had 30 Seconds to Mars because he loved 30 Seconds to Mars, so I got him 30 Seconds to Mars.
And when you guys do these shows, are you guys able to are you fangirling hard? Like, are you guys like, oh my God?
There was times, yeah, for sure. I think back in the day, over the years, you kind of get, I don't know.
It loses some of its luster a little bit, if you will.
Because you guys are constantly doing it all the time.
Yeah, I kind of, early on when I first started The Edge, I would go out to shows every night, even to watch local bands.
Well, I remember you
just
talked shit to him because he wouldn't go. Right?
Yeah.
Just saying. I remember it,
I was too busy sniffing cocaine.
Yeah.
That's all right. I mean, now you're down to nicotine gum. As long as you don't try to just chop it up on the countertop and snort it.
I think honestly the last person I got a little starstruck with was when we, I think was it Ozfest or something like that, when we interviewed Ice-T from Body Count.
Yeah.
Body Count was in town.
I remember Body Count, man. They still come, don't they? They come to like Ozfest and stuff.
They just played Ozfest this year. They did a one-date Ozfest, and but we got to interview Ice-T.
Right.
And I was a little bit geeked out from Ice-T because it's cool. Like I followed his career for a long time.
Right. And it's freaking Ice-T, man.
And it's so Ice-T.
Dude,
it's
Law and Order, man.
Right?
Come on.
It's not even that, but you got to, we talked to him about that. It's like, you know what? Did you ever think, one of the questions I asked him, I said, did you ever think when you started out at as this rapper, in Southern California or Central California, South Central California, did you have any idea that you would ever come to this? And he's like, nah, nothing even like this.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit starstruck with him just because respect the guy.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, in a guy like that can change genres essentially. I mean, he's kind of blending, but but he's playing Ozfest and he's a rapper. Like, there's not a lot of cats.
Well, he's got a metal band now,
Right.
because Body Count's a straight up metal band.
Right,
Him
but
and
that's
Rocky George. And,
But he still kind of spits it like a flow kind of thing.
Yeah, for
which
sure.
is awesome. And I really like that. There is a band that I want you guys to check out. It's a little heavy, but they're technically mathcore. They're called Archspire. And Archspire's singer, he speaks at an incredibly fast rate. It's not, to me, it's not like this ridiculous blast beat stuff. I mean, it is, but you can actually make sense of it. But Archspire, the lead singer, they have an interview on YouTube where he talks about how he took from Ice Cube and took his style of flowing and added it to this. And he's on beat for like, a 16th or 32nd time beat, and he's able to just put it up, but he does it in a way that's almost like rapping. And you follow this guy
like a System of a Down,
sort of, but I mean at crazy speed because it's
but you're talking about like ludicrous fast, or spitting it like Busta Rhymes fast.
Yeah, it's like
that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But then you listen to him, and he's on beat with with a metal band that's just destroying. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh my god, it is such a unique. It's like the evolution of the thing. It's amazing to see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got him right there.
Yeah,
Check him out.
You'll dig him.
We got to start wrapping this up.
I got you, brother.
I got to go. I've got to go sell a house.
Yeah,
I think the only thing that I wanted to ask you guys with this stuff is, like, what do you got going on and what's the future look like? I know you've got El Rey. Tell me about El Rey, Buck.
Yeah, so my full-time job right now is I went into real estate. I got my real estate license in 2012 just in case Dex got us fired. And it's a good thing that I did that because real estate, I've been super, super blessed to be able to do that. And, it's just taken off. It's been super successful in that. So, but late last year in November, December, I got involved in a project downtown with a few guys, Joe Anderson being one of them.
Yeah.
And we ended up taking over the corner of 7th and Central. So everything from the launch pad west to the end of Central is ours. So we have a liquor store, we have the El Rey, we have the old Golden West space, which doesn't have a roof. It's an open air venue.
It's an awesome bar. If you guys have never been there, it is amazing. It is a place to stop. Did a zombie crawl there. Yeah.
And then we have a speakeasy that's actually down below the liquor store that we're getting ready to open in a couple of weeks. So I've got to go and find some flooring for some stuff here.
Need some servers?
I've actually, it's so funny because I offered Steve-O a job and he never showed up.
You offered him a job.
You have a job.
I have 2 jobs. I have 3 jobs. I need 4.
So anyway, so we have that. And part of the deal with that is like we want to make the experience really good for people down there because the El Rey kind of has a bad rap as being a shitty venue.
Yeah.
And we've gone in at this point and spent a bunch of money on it. We're trying to make it really cool, make it really user-friendly, make it better for the bands.
Yeah.
And just make it cool again, because the music scene downtown needs to be more robust. And I kind of like having our thumb on a majority of it downtown, which is good.
Does Tim Keller, mayor, does he have anything to do with that? Because I know they're trying to revamp downtown.
Not yet. I'll probably try to get a meeting with him at some point. I know he actually came down and introduced, I think it was Anthrax last year when they played down at the El Rey. He got on stage and introduced Anthrax.
Yeah, that made the news for sure.
Yeah, he's a total metalhead. So we'll be having a conversation with him at some point.
Cool. So if we wanted to buy a house from you, where would we find that at?
I guess you could just go to my website, dukecityhomes.com.
Okay.
It's just my Remax page.
Okay.
And, or you could just email me, dukecityhomes@gmail.com.
So when you guys are looking for a house, you know where to go.
Yeah, you can hit me up and come down. So like the Speakeasy, like I said, the Speakeasy will be open. I think we're shooting for February 23rd.
Okay.
And
that's real soon.
Yeah, it's going to be real soon. But it's super cool.
Okay.
It's super, super cool.
Yeah,
it's nothing else like it in town.
I would love to do a cast with Joe Anderson and you, and I mean, if you want to come along as well, but to talk about the venues down there. I've always wanted to know more about that. Like, that is the spot to go see shows,
you know
essentially.
What? We can go down there and we can do a podcast from the Speakeasy,
Doing a show with Joe Anderson, I would love to just be there to listen because Joe has stories for days. Because, he's been bringing these bands in forever, know?
Well, I met him kind of soft one time walking by Launchpad, and I was like, "Hey man, do a podcast." He's like, "Sure, bring a card by," but I was not in the right state of mind. But he was nice. He was very nice. I wasn't rude, but I don't think. Yeah. But that's awesome. And then, so talk to me, Dex. What do you got going on?
So pretty much two YouTube shows. I have the radio show now on 88.3 FM.
And that's
here
what
in
you look up
Albuquerque.
on YouTube. Is 88.3?
Well, YouTube, just look up Morning Invasion or Star 88.
Okay.
And that's the radio show in the morning, Monday through Friday, that I do with Steve-O. And then Steve-O and I also do Don't Sweat the Small Stuff.
Right. You forgot to record.
I didn't. I looked.
Don't say it.
And
sorry.
And that's the YouTube show where we go out with the dry sauna, the infrared sauna. We interview guests in the sauna.
Yeah, and it's really, really well done for
thanks,
sure.
Man. And honestly,
YouTube.
that's Jordy and Brent. They're the skill. They're the talent behind it. We just get in the sauna and just kind of have a conversation with somebody. But that's Don't Sweat the Small Stuff TV on YouTube. And and then I'm doing Uber and Lyft, So if you ever need
He's not very reliable with that, though, because when I sent him a text that I needed an Uber, he never showed it. He didn't even answer the text, actually. So
you need to sneak that Find My iPhone thing onto his phone. That way you can be like, I know where you're at. You're lying to me.
Should we share your location with me?
No, I can't.
Come on, share your location with me.
Well, I might be working at the speakeasy. I might just take that over for Buck. So.
I know a guy.
Right. No, but that's it for me. That's it. So,
cool, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having
us. Thank you. It was fun.
I was fangirling so hard on the way here, and you go on here. I'm like, damn.